So, call to order the meeting of the U.S. Chess Executive Board, September 13th, 2022. And I guess we need to call the roll. Do I call the roll? I'm not used to do this. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
unless you have the secretary do it, you can delegate it.
okay, I'll just do it. So, Randy Bauer is here, and Kevin Pryor
Here.
present, and Fun Fong. You're on mute, Fun.
Here.
And Vice President of Finance, Chuck Unruh.
Present.
Thank you. And Mike Hoffpower.
Here.
And David Day.
Present.
David Hayter is excused until he arrives, and John Fernandez, who is also here now. Okay, so we have and Executive Director Carol Meyer.
Here.
So we have 8 of the 9 board members present, and quorum is present. So we just a couple items on open session, then we're going to go to closed session, and we'll come back if there are any items out of closed session that we need to vote on in open session. So the next is disclosure of conflicts of interest. Are there any of the executive board members that have a conflict of interest that they want to raise at this time?
No.
None.
Okay,
None.
hearing none. Thank you. So we have minutes from board meetings from August 4th and August 7th and August 9th. Are those all ones, Carol, that we need, or Fun, that we need to approve the minutes?
Correct. 2 are at the US Open
Yes.
the week
Okay.
after.
Okay, well, let's take them in order then. So minutes for the executive board meeting on August 4th in Rancho Mirage, California. Is there any discussion? Well, first of all, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 7-0 and 1 not voting. Next set of minutes was also for the executive board meeting, Rancho Mirage, on August 7th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
In a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes for the August 7th meeting, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0 with 1 not voting. Finally, there was from our last meeting, the Zoom meeting from August 9th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Okay.
Okay, moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye and raise your hand or wave your hand.
Aye.
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 Opposed? Not voting? So it's, or I should say abstaining. So that passes also on another 7 in favor, 0 not in favor, and 1 not voting. Thank you for that little process. So the next is a financial report. Chuck Unruh, Vice President of Finance, would you like to share with us any news that we should be aware of?
Oh, we have plenty of news. I will try to keep us out of the weeds this evening.
Good idea.
Yes. We live in interesting times, as always. And at this
Today was
point,
a bad day, Chuck.
it was a good day for us.
Okay, all right, you go on.
We'll explain that in a little more detail. But when talking about interesting times, is that at the delegates meeting, we had the draft audit, and things pretty good with the draft audit, but still we've run into a few issues, mostly with personnel on the audit side and a few details. And of course, the audit has lingered, and the final is not here, and it's lingered. So what that means to us is it's our anchor point. And to get a real detailed look where we are today financially, we need that anchor point to produce our records. So we're still waiting on the auditors to finalize, and then we'll have our financials out immediately in a couple days. Deborah's ready with things, I'm sure.
Right. And
So a little bit of where we are. We may not have the paperwork, but where we are is very important. As membership revenues have come in, they're comparable to last year. As expenses came in, we were worried about IT last year. We are concerned, I shouldn't say worried, and that is under control. Carol, do you have the type of IT expenses that we have to date for this fiscal year?
so I'm prepared with last month's. I do not have financials for the fiscal year yet, but we have instituted a cap with our primary vendor of 75 hours a month. And that should keep us in a range that's well under where we had been coming in last year. The August invoice came in at $24,200. And that invoice is actually inclusive of our quarterly hosting, bulk email, and we get hit twice or 4 times a year with about $8,000 worth of additional charges on the invoice. It's like $8,200. And those hit in August. So our actual spend was closer to $16,000 versus the 24 on development and maintenance and all. So that, that's a much easier pill to swallow than the 40,000 that we were spending in some months.
And when, obviously you're buying something in those months, what are we not buying that we were buying?
So the thing that we're still working on, and it's being tested not just by staff, but by some of our members, is the spreadsheet importer. And, they haven't gotten it quite right yet. And
Okay,
things are not registering. So that is part of the development budget, but that's the primary development thing. The rest is maintenance, updates, stuff breaks when you update code.
okay. So by instituting a cap, we're at least just we're managing our budget.
Yep.
Which may mean it, some things may take a little bit longer, but at least we have more of a normalized understanding of what the budget impact is going to be on a monthly basis. Is that an accurate statement?
I think it still will be variable.
Okay.
I think this is a really good month,
Okay,
where we didn't have a lot of development expenses. If we're not investing a lot in development, I think this is a realistic.
yeah, well, that's the trade-off, right? Yeah, okay.
Carol, on a follow-up, my understanding is our moving costs were within budget. Could you give us a little insight on that?
Yeah, I think with the employee move and the office move, I think we came in $4,000 or $5,000 under budget. So,
Which was
and our
50,000?
well, yeah, that I'm just talking about the actual physical moving piece of it, but then
Okay.
we had some other moving costs associated with
Right.
other personnel and all.
Okay, all right, okay.
So staffing wise, no surprises from the budget. If the only place that there's probably a surprise, and it's really bad news, good news, is that we've been very conservative with our investments, and Wall Street's having considerable problems right now,
Yeah, no kidding.
which means that our losses are very modest compared to their losses. And recently I circulated a CD ladder in some of the purchases we've been making in order to capture short-term gains without any risk. This isn't the plan to remain in CDs. We cannot win by remaining there. but
Right.
it's a nice place to land while everyone else is being flooded by the storm. And that's where we are today. And if there are any questions on that or comments after I circulated the LMAT, the Life Member Asset Trust, and what we have done there, I'm more than happy to answer questions. But we're doing the same thing with our reserve fund. The reserve fund has purchased a 50,000 CD, 1-year CD each month. Total will be 600,000. So it's a significant part of our earnings. Now, as far as losses from, I think with today's losses in the market, the Dow was down 4%. It was just a terrible day for all the
Yeah.
indexes.
Right.
But to give you an idea, we were up over 21,000 last week in the US chess portfolios. So we may have dropped 10,000 more than the 21 we were up, but that's not 4%. 4% would be $160,000, and we're not close to dropping that much. So our, what we call a beta, or our volatility index or comparison to the market, is probably 25% of the move. We may have lost 1% today, while the Dow Industrials lost 4%. The concerning issue, this may take quite a while to work through. I also sent around a 10-year US Treasury chart. It was at the top of its range for interest rates. Hard to predict the top. Most likely you go through it. And we did today. The chart I sent around was probably for 3.5%. And we went to 3.76 earlier today. So interest rates are not under control yet. We don't know the top. Having the flexibility in the investments with a ladder CD means that we'll have money coming due every month, and that allows US Chess to reinvest in the higher interest rates. So we'll get an average of the higher rates as they come through until they stop going up. If anyone knows when they stop, please let me know. This could be
Chuck,
really good.
I'd like to let the board know about our conversation we had with our outsourced CFO firm. David Day, Chuck and I met with the CFO team
Good idea.
several weeks ago to talk about what we want our financials to look like. And I know that Misty, even today, before we got the audit back, was working on the quarterly financials, and we're going to get the more consolidated view from them. Anybody who wants the line by line, full detail certainly is welcome to have that. But we want things that are readable and useful for the board. We're also going to pull out some key metrics, key performance indicators to show the board, so that we can track things like membership revenue more easily, tournament expenses by event more easily, and the like. So when we are able to finally start the year with a balance, we'll get those financials to you, and I hope that they will be more digestible than what you've been getting previously.
So to finish up on the investments, we're very solid. We'll meet all of our obligations. Our actual distributions, cash distributions, will increase over the next few months. Financially, membership is a large part, and membership appears steady at this point, meaning membership revenues. We had quite a few life members for the first quarter. Carol, do you remember how many?
It's either 17 or 19.
So for a quarter, that's good. New life memberships are seniors becoming life members. This is faith in what we do. So nothing has really changed for us on the endowment, the reserve fund, or the life member asset trust. We're being very careful and patient with the markets. In the future and currently, This is becoming a significant part of our revenue stream in our mission.
Okay,
That's my report.
thank you for the report, Vice
Mhm.
President Unruh. Are there any further questions for Chuck? Comments? I
Chuck.
want to think, oh, go ahead, whoever.
Sorry, Chuck, can you elaborate on personnel issues that we had with our auditors?
I will go to Carol on that. She has been in direct contact. I'm hearing about it secondhand.
So I think everybody knows we advertised for an IT project manager / developer. We are in the interviewing stage of that. Don't really feel like I can say too much on the open mic here, but that is moving along. And we hope to be able to make a decision soon. And that's really all I can say at the moment.
On the audit front, I thought you were asking about the audit.
I was asking about your comment earlier on about the personnel issues on the audit side.
Yeah, on the audit side,
Oh,
we're really looking into this auditor has been with us for quite a while, but we should have other alternatives. Most of the information was there in a timely fashion, and for the type of money we spend, we expect results. Carol, can you add to that?
yeah, I think like everybody else, they may be understaffed, plus the guy who had been our principal for the past several years, although he wasn't our account manager, is no longer with the firm. So there's a new person getting up to speed. Plus we have the different chart of accounts, and we've made that transition this year. And so I think things aren't lining up the way we wanted them to, as easily, even though we had this conversation with them last year after the completion of last year's audit and thought we had put the things in place that they asked us to. So a confluence of factors, we're staying on them every few days. We're saying, hey, when are we gonna have a draft? Because it has impacts on other things that we need to do, like filing our charitable registrations with all the states that require them, and our 990 needs to be sent in to many of them. So it's all, we're feeling that pressure, and the due date is coming up pretty soon.
Super helpful. Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, I mean, there we have had some discussions about, this firm is a Tennessee firm, and we may want to consider other options that exist in closer to where we're going to be located, where we are located now. So
Absolutely.
that's certainly a conversation we'll have as we go forward.
Because filing the 990 is important, and
Oh,
there are
yeah.
only minor issues standing in the way.
Yeah. I believe then, if there are no other questions for Chuck, that kind of completes our agenda for the open session. So we're reconvening in open session. The executive board has been discussing a number of issues in closed session. David Hayter has joined us and participated in closed session. We have two motions coming out of closed session that we're going to dispose of in open session. The first, John Fernandez, do you want to make a motion related to charter?
Yes, thank you, Randy. I move that the executive board approve the Chesson Education Committee charter as approved by the Chesson Education Committee in September.
And we've heard the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
The motion has been seconded. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye and raise your hand or wave your hand.
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Hearing none, the motion is approved on an 8-0 vote.
Mr. President,
I believe that our Secretary Fun Fong has another motion coming out of the closed session.
yes, Mr. President, the executive board moves to create a U.S. Senior Women's Championship envisioned as: number one, a round robin event. Number two, eligibility requirements will be determined by November 15th by the Director of National Events. Number 3, the event will be bid out. Number 4, the event is expected to commence in 2023 if a suitable bidder is found.
Thank you. And that was an executive board motion, so it doesn't require a second. Is there discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye and make some visual.
Visual.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Hearing none, the motion is approved on an 8-0 vote. That disposes of the motions from closed session. Are any members wishing to make any comments before we, I have 1 minute for us to get out of here. Hearing none, I thank you all for participating. You know, these monthly meetings have been something that developed during COVID. We found them to be useful. It allows the board to deal with some of these kinds of matters that come up from time to time. Appreciate all of the volunteer service that you provide to us. And we, of course, will have our next Zoom meeting in October, the second Tuesday in October.
11th.
And with that, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion, hearing none. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Opposed? We are adjourned.
Thanks. Good to see you guys.
Thank you all. And
Thank
right at 9
Yeah,
o'clock.
everyone.